Welcome, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Eden Williams, and I am Manager Regulatory Administration in the Corporate Finance Branch. The topic of our webinar today is SEDAR Plus Practical Tips for Error-Free Filings. I'm excited to introduce our talented lineup of speakers for today's session. Cheryl Antonio and Kenneth Ho, Financial Examiners, Lorraine Greer, Lead Review Officer, Rita Clifford, Regulatory Administration Lead, and Evan Marquis, Business Processes Supervisor. Some housekeeping items before we begin. There will be a Q&A session following the conclusion of the presentation. You can submit questions throughout the presentation using the chat feature, and we will be answering them at the end of the webinar. If for any reason we cannot get to your question, we'll reach out after the end of the session. We will send an evaluation after the session, and we appreciate your feedback. And at the end of the session, you'll be able to screenshot proof of attendance for CPD requirements, so just look out for that. Before we begin, I'd like to remind participants that the views expressed in this presentation are the views of the corporate finance staff and do not necessarily represent the views of the Commission or the Canadian Securities Administrator and its members. The presentation is provided for general information purposes only and does not constitute legal, accounting, or technical advice. Information has been summarized and paraphrased for this presentation purposes, and the examples have been provided for illustration purposes only. Responsibility for making sufficient and appropriate disclosure and complying with applicable security laws remains with the company. Information in this presentation reflects security laws and other relevant standards that are in effect at the date of this presentation. The contents of this presentation should not be modified without the express permission of the presenters. This document should not be distributed externally. The objective of the OSC SME Institute is to support small and medium-sized businesses in facilitating cost-effective compliance through issuer outreach and education. It is important for issuers to know securities regulatory requirements and help them navigate regulatory waters. The idea is that if we help issuers to better understand the disclosure requirements, they can focus their resources on building their company. Ultimately, we both have the same goal, for issuers to provide appropriate and meaningful information to investors. It is important to remember that at the end of the day, investor confidence in information that companies provide is critical to the success of their company. Let's kickstart our session by taking a look at today's agenda. We will cover introduction to SEDAR Plus, profile and fee management, continuous disclosure filings, prospectus filings, application filings, and exempt market filings. Throughout our presentation, we will provide valuable insights into each agenda item, offering practical tips and highlighting common errors to help streamline your submission process. Please note that questions will be addressed at the end of the session. While my team are not experts in submitting filings on SEDAR Plus, we will share the common errors or tips that they have seen from the regulator's perspective, ultimately helping you avoid refiling or delays in processing your submissions. Let's dive into the first item on our agenda, Introduction to SEDAR Plus. SEDAR Plus stands for System for Electronic Document Analysis and Retrieval Plus. It replaces the old SEDAR system. It is an electronic filing system used by Canadian companies and investment funds to submit their regulatory filings to the Canadian Securities Administrators, the CSA. SEDAR Plus streamlines the efficient dissemination and retrieval of securities-related information, enhancing transparency and accessibility of public disclosure for investors and regulatory authorities. It is important to note that SEDAR Plus is overseen by the CSA, not the OSC. The CSA ensures compliance with securities laws and regulations governing the submissions and disclosure of information through SEDAR+. To delve deeper into SEDAR+, visit the CSA website. On the CSA website, you'll find a dedicated section offering comprehensive insights into SEDAR+ and its functionalities. You can see from the menu on the right-hand side of the page, you can access a wide array of SEDAR+ information. This includes support resources, system status updates, training material, and access to SEDAR+ Connection e-newsletter. When you visit the CSA website, you'll find the SEDAR+ support page offering valuable links. Direct access to the SEDAR+ landing page for comprehensive information and resources. Navigate to the Help Center for assistance with any queries or issues you may encounter while using SEDAR+. Also, explore the Learning Center for educational materials and resources to enhance your understanding and proficiency with SEDAR+. If you encounter any issues and need assistance with SEDAR+, setting up your profile or filing your documents, visit the Contact Us page on the SEDAR+ website. Contact the CSA service desk using the information provided on the site and noted on the slide for prompt assistance. Additionally, on the SEDAR+ system status page, you can access the most current information about SEDAR+, quarterly application updates, scheduled maintenance, and known issues being addressed. The landing page for SEDAR+ can be found at www.sedarplus.ca. Alternatively, www.sedarplus.com also directs you to the landing page. The OSC does not object to the use or reference to sedarplus.ca or sedarplus.com. Even without logging into the system, there's a plethora of publicly available information. Use the search feature directly from SEDAR+ landing page to access public information filed on SEDAR+. Multiple search options are available, including profiles, filings, and documents. From the landing page, you can also access the reporting issuers list, the disciplined list, and cease trade orders. You can also subscribe for email alerts for financial disclosure documents and email alerts for cease trade orders and the discipline list. From this page, you can also gain access to the SEDAR archive, where you can search documents filed on old legacy SEDAR, some of which were not migrated to SEDAR+. In the quick reference section, you can explore rules and policies, activity reports of enforcement activities, filer quick reference guides, SEDAR+ rules and forms, the CSA regulatory sandbox, which includes information on how CSA supports fintech, and the SEDAR+ fee guide. As a reminder, the fee guide reflects the regulatory filing fees as of January 1st, 2024, and does not include any new filing categories, filing subtypes, or documents on SEDAR+. In order for filers to determine the fees due prior to the submission, you will need to create a draft filing. You can learn more about draft filings in the Help Center, and the CSA is preparing a video which will be available in the coming weeks. A notification will be sent to users when the video is available. We encourage you to become familiar with the SEDAR+ online help. On this page, there are a number of links you can access. Frequently asked questions, search for quick guides and other resources, and view step-by-step instructions on how to register for a SEDAR+ account and gain filing access. In the Browse by Category section, you can access general help, which includes general information about SEDAR+, learn how to set up user and organizational accounts under user and organization, get information about profiles and how to create, maintain, and view them. You can access information about how to complete and maintain filings. Fee and payment information, including managing pre-authorized debit accounts. And finally, you can access regulatory action by searching the discipline list or cease trade orders, as well as viewing regulatory actions on a profile and subscribing to the discipline list or cease trade order email notifications. We encourage you to familiarize yourself with SEDAR Plus filing inventory. The filing inventory provides a comprehensive list of all documents that are available for submission in SEDAR Plus. It includes the document access level at the time of filing and indicates if the document is subject to any fees. The list can be downloaded and can be filtered by category of filing. You can find the filing inventory under Filings in Online Help. Alternatively, you can search for filing inventory in the search bar. The CSA is currently working on another quick video that will show you how to view the filing inventory to see which filing types, document types have a fee, and a video on how to create draft filings to view this fee summary. A communication will be sent to users when these videos are available on the Learning Center in the next few weeks. Thank you for listening. That concludes our introduction to SEDAR Plus. I'll now hand over the presentation to Cheryl, who will cover the next item on our agenda.
My name is Cheryl Antonio, and I am a financial examiner in the Corporate Finance branch at the OSC. I will be starting off our presentation by taking you through profile and fee management. There are 5 profile types in SEDAR Plus: company, third party, investment fund profile, investment fund group profile, and industry participant. For the purposes of this presentation, we will be focusing on company profiles. You will note that we may use issuer and company interchangeably throughout the presentation. Each time an issuer transmits a document through SEDAR Plus, it should ensure that information in its SEDAR Plus profile is accurate. Issuers must update their SEDAR Plus profile within 10 days after information becomes inaccurate or earlier, at the next time they transmit a document through SEDAR Plus. Incomplete or incorrect profile information can lead to incorrect fees. You can view company details as shown on this slide and scroll down to the Actions menu to maintain company profile in order to make necessary updates. On this slide, we cover various profile fields that we have noticed are sometimes not completed correctly, with a short description about their importance and use. Something new to SEDAR Plus is that on the issuer's profile page, yellow regulatory action flags display under the following circumstances: an active cease trade order flag if there are any cease trade orders in effect against a profile, including management cease trade orders that have not expired or been fully revoked. A disciplinary action flag if any disciplinary actions have been issued against a profile. And an in default flag if Securities Regulatory Authority has noted a reporting issuer in default of a continuous disclosure requirement. You can click on these flags to see the details of the cease trade order, disciplinary action, or default. In a case where a profile has been noted in default, has an active cease trade order, and has a disciplinary action issued against it, all 3 flags will appear. Many filings involving submitting and paying fees in multiple jurisdictions. We encourage you to contact the appropriate jurisdiction regarding fees, as each securities regulator administers their own fees. Generally, if you are maintaining a filing originally made in SEDAR Plus, you will not need to request a fee exception code to avoid being charged again. There are 2 new fee concepts that have been introduced with SEDAR Plus: fee exception codes and outstanding fees. Simply put, a one-time fee exception code enables you to file without paying fees at the time of filing. These codes are issued in limited circumstances after approval from the regulator. Creating an outstanding fee is a feature in SEDAR Plus. It is created by regulators or by the CSA service desk, so an issuer can go into SEDAR Plus and pay any outstanding fees owing on an existing filing. When seeking one-time fee exception codes from multiple jurisdictions for a single filing, filers are advised to contact the CSA service desk to obtain the necessary fee exception codes. The CSA service desk will facilitate coordination with the relevant jurisdictions and provide the required exception codes in a consolidated email. In the subject line of the email to the CSA service desk, indicate Request for SEDAR Plus Regulatory Fee Exception Code. In the email body, include the fee exception code request table. If the request is approved, the CSA service desk will respond with fee exception codes for each jurisdiction requested. If you are experiencing a technical issue, you should obtain an incident number from the CSA service desk and contact us before your filing is due, if possible. We will require sufficient supporting information to issue a fee exception code. In cases where fee exception codes are exclusive to the OSC, the filer should email the OSC directly. Before submitting a filing, SEDAR Plus provides a fee attributes page where you will enter the code. Enter a fee exception code for each jurisdiction where the fee calculation issue applies. Select Add Code to add more exception codes to a filing. System fee exceptions will have their own code. Click Save and move to the fee summary and payment page. You will see that the amount is $0 in the fee breakdown against the jurisdictions that have a code entered for them. In situations involving failed electronic fund transfers or EFTs in SEDAR Plus across multiple jurisdictions, a coordinated process has been established to ensure smooth resolution regarding outstanding regulatory fees and system fees. In the event of a rejected payment, the CSA service desk will send a notification to the filer. This notification will provide details about outstanding regulatory fees for each recipient agency and the applicable system fee. The OSC will not contact the filer separately regarding outstanding fees. To streamline communication, the CSA service desk's notification will be the single point of contact with the filer. For any rejected payment, each applicable recipient agency will create an outstanding fee within 48 hours. The CSA service desk will also create an outstanding system fee, if applicable. Shortly after the outstanding fees have been created, an email will be sent by the CSA service desk to the filer. This email will confirm that recipient agencies have created outstanding fees. In cases where the rejected payment is exclusive to the OSC or an outstanding fee has not been paid to the OSC will contact the filer directly. As a financial examiner, I often receive requests from filers for a fee exception code because the filer wants to file the French version of a document after the English version has been filed. A fee exception code will not be approved as it is not required in this scenario because as a filer, you can use the grouping ID in the filing to file the French version without being charged an additional fee. This slide from Online Help addresses the topic of grouping IDs. Simply put, a grouping ID is used to prevent the recalculation of filing fees when adding new documents for subsequent submissions within the same filing subtype. For example, correcting information in interim or annual financial statements, or adding the French version of certain documents. On the following slides, we will attempt to show you how to use a grouping ID to add the French version of audited annual financial statement filings to a filing where the English version has already been filed. To illustrate how grouping ID works, let's start with filing the English version of the audited annual financial statements. We will then go back to the filing and maintain it to add the French version. If you do not use the grouping ID to file the French version, once the English version is filed, you will be charged an additional fee for the French version. The OSC will not authorize fee exception codes for filings where the grouping ID feature can be used. When you select to upload your audited annual financial statement document, you will be presented with a group of documents, the English, French, and foreign language documents. You will notice that this grouping of documents has been given a grouping ID. In this case, it is GWQV. We have selected Audited Annual Financial Statements, English. Once a document is selected and uploaded, you can take note of the grouping ID and you can save and submit the filing. All applicable fees will be charged with this filing. If you decide later that you would like to file the French version but have forgotten your grouping ID, you will have to go in and find it. The grouping ID is recorded in the filing. There are a few ways that you can find the filing. You can refer to the link on this page, which will give you other options on how to search for the grouping ID. For example, from the menu or from the profile. For this demonstration, we will find it from your dashboard. Select Submitted Work. Select the annual financial statement filing that you would like to maintain. Select Submissions and click on the submission where the English version was filed. You will be taken to the Submission Details page. Scroll down to the Subtype and Documents, and you will find the grouping ID. Now that you've found the grouping ID, you are ready to maintain the filing and add the French version. On the Filing Details page, select Actions. This will take you to the bottom of the page, where you can select Maintain Filing. Select Make Changes in the Subtype and Documents section. Select the subtype Annual Financial Statements and the document type Audited Annual Financial Statements, and you will be presented with the option to search for existing document grouping ID or Add New. Select Search. Type in the grouping ID number and select Search. The way that you can tell that the search was successful is that you will see a light orange box around the search button. Then click Save. You can now select the French version of the audited annual financial statements and upload your document. You will not be charged an additional fee for the French version since it has been linked to the grouping ID. Again, the OSC will not provide fee exception codes for filings where grouping IDs apply. Thanks for listening to the Profile and Fee Management section of this presentation. I will now turn it over to my colleague, Kenneth.
Thank you, Cheryl. Hi, my name is Kenneth Ho. I am also a financial examiner in the corporate finance branch. I will be walking through continuous disclosure filings. Before I get into SEDAR Plus filings, I should clear up some questions we received regarding the change in the fee rule on April 3rd, 2023. The basis for determining fees is the applicable fee rule as at the period or year end when the filing is required to be filed. Generally, late participation fees still apply under Section 8, Subsection 1 of OSC Rule 13502 fees. Late participation fees are not directly calculated in SEDAR+. OSC staff will create an outstanding fee and notify the issuer if a late participation fee is owing. New to SEDAR+, participation fee forms are now web forms. This slide is at stage 2 in an annual financial statement filing. When you file your annual financial statements, if Ontario and/or Alberta is selected as a recipient agency, you will see a question. Are you required to file a participation fee form in Alberta and/or Ontario? You can select yes as an option, and at the end of your annual financial statement filing, you will be prompted to file your participation fee form. The Create Participation Fee Form link can be accessed after submitting annual financial statements in SEDAR+ as shown on this slide. Alternatively, reporting issuers can choose Create Participation Fee Form directly from the annual submenus under Continuous Disclosure. To begin your participation fee form filing, enter the required data points at step 3, starting with the previous year, financial year. Select the issuer class, and so on. Remember to pick the correct participation fee form based on the issuer's classification. This slide depicts the output view of the reporting period data, and it may still be edited. Participation fee forms are specific to Ontario and Alberta. If you are a reporting issuer filing in both Ontario and Alberta, here's some good news. You only need to input the information once, and SEDAR+ will automatically populate both forms. Accuracy is very important, especially when entering the previous financial year, because SEDAR+ uses this information to calculate the fees due upon submission. SEDAR+ will automatically generate a publicly accessible PDF document of the issuer's participation fee form. Please refer to OSC fee rule definitions for the meaning of previous financial year. Please be reminded that when filling out the Ontario participation fee form, the section that indicates the end date of previous financial year should correspond with the annual financial year end of the current annual filing. For instance, if the issuer is filing annual financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2023, then the end date of the previous financial year on the issuer's Ontario participation fee form should also be December 31st, 2023, and not December 31st, 2022. A very important point to remember is that once a participation fee form is submitted, filers cannot revise or maintain it. If an update is needed, initiate a new filing and re-enter the necessary information. To prevent repaying fees, filers can request a fee exception code. Alternatively, if repayment is chosen, a refund can be requested by sending an email to the FinRep notifications email noted on this slide. Staff strongly encourages filers to request the fee exception code in this circumstance. If the participation fee form needs to be refiled in both Ontario and Alberta, use the fee exception code process for multiple jurisdictions as outlined earlier in this presentation. For underpayments, staff will create an outstanding fee entry in SEDAR+. Filers will be notified that an outstanding fee has been created in the system and can go into SEDAR+ to pay their outstanding fee. We will not accept checks or wire transfers unless there are exceptional circumstances. If you are unable to locate the specific filing type for your document in SEDAR+, the other filing continuous disclosure category may be appropriate. Please note that filings made under this filing type will be private and not publicly viewable. To request that these documents be marked public, please send your request by email to the FinRep notification email in the attached slide. For example, the Form 8K filed with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission does not have a filing category in SEDAR+. As a result, please use the Other Filing Continuous Disclosure filing type when submitting this form. The status of this document will be private. Therefore, to make this document publicly viewable, a request is required. I'm now going to turn it over to Lorraine for the prospectus filing section.
Thank you, Kenneth. My name is Lorraine Greer, and I'm the lead review officer in the corporate finance branch. I will take you through some SEDAR Plus tips to help you with prospectus filings. If the company is in the process of submitting documents, such as an initial public offering prospectus that could lead to the company becoming a reporting issuer, you should select Pending in the Reporting Issuer field. If you select No in the Reporting Issuer field, the complete list of prospectus filing types will not be available for selection. Once the profile is updated to Pending, the prospectus filing types will appear under the Securities Offering section. We are often asked if the fees for a prospectus that was filed under the wrong filing type can be transferred to a new filing that will be made under the correct filing type. Fees cannot be transferred to another filing. In these circumstances, a fee exception is recommended. We are often asked how a company can change its status to short form eligible so they can file a short form prospectus. The eligible for short form prospectus field on a company profile is updated automatically to yes when a National Instrument 44-101 Notice of Intent to Qualify is filed, and is updated automatically to no when a National Instrument 44-101 Withdrawal Notice is filed. This slide covers a couple of key points regarding the filing process for capital pool companies. The company files the preliminary CPC prospectus and other documents on SEDAR Plus with the applicable securities regulators. The company must also file the same documents on the TSX fees filing portal. Comment letters from the TSX fee will be filed on the TSX fees filing portal and will be emailed to the securities regulatory authorities as opposed to being transmitted via SEDAR Plus. Response letters from the company must be filed on both SEDAR Plus and the TSX fees filing portal. We are often asked when the OSC will clear for final. Please note that the OSC cannot clear for final until all issues are addressed and the TSX fee sends us an email requesting that we clear for final. OSC staff encourage companies to reference documents incorporated by reference on the prospectus filing by linking them. In the Documents Incorporated by Reference section at Step 5 of the filing process, you can search for related previously filed documents by using filing type, filing number, submission number, or document type. Simply click the Reference a Previously Filed Document button to perform the search and select the documents that you would like to link from the search results. Failure to link documents incorporated by reference to the prospectus filing may cause delays in the review process. In Ontario, pre-filing fees may be credited to the filing. For example, if you pre-file a prospectus, the full fee for the prospectus is due at the time of filing the pre-file. Once you file the prospectus, the fees paid with the pre-filing may be credited towards the prospectus filing. Note that you must relate the pre-file to the application or prospectus filing using the search functionality in order to avoid duplication of filing fees. Alternatively, details can be added manually if your pre-filing is not in SEDAR+. Please note that using the manual linking functionality may result in potentially duplicated fees. As you begin to type the company name, results will appear. Click the relevant result and save. Those are a few key tips to remember when filing a prospectus on SEDAR+. I will now turn the presentation over to my colleague, Brita, who will walk us through applications for exemptive relief.
Thank you, Lorraine. My name is Brita Clifford, Regulatory Administration Lead in the Corporate Finance Branch. I will be taking you through best practices for filing applications for exemptive relief in SEDAR+. Generally, applications for exemptive relief and pre-files must be submitted through SEDAR+. Please refer to National Instrument 13103 regarding which applications should be filed via SEDAR+. In general, an application filed by an issuer will likely be required to be filed through SEDAR+, including an application that includes a request for relief from the prospectus requirement, even if other types of relief are also requested. For example, an issuer files an application for registration-related relief concurrently with prospectus-related relief. Please note, issuers that are not reporting issuers generally need to use SEDAR+ for filing or delivering documents to the OSC, unless there is a specific exemption in National Instrument 13103. To ensure correct fee payment and to avoid delaying your filing, if you are applying for more than one head of relief, select Yes in the Fee Attributes section to ensure correct fee treatment. Once the decision has been issued, and if the OSC is PR, the application letter, verification statement, and decision becomes public on SEDAR+. Of course, this is subject to any request for confidentiality that may have been granted. If you want to request confidentiality, select Yes to the Requesting Confidentiality question at step 3, in addition to adding a paragraph in your application letter regarding why confidentiality is required. Issuers are reminded to select all jurisdictions where relief is being sought under jurisdictions where applies. If the jurisdiction where applies is the same as to where filed, you can select Yes, and the jurisdictions will be pre-populated automatically. Failure to file in all jurisdictions may result in staff asking you to go back into SEDAR+ to maintain your filing to add the appropriate jurisdictions. Filers are reminded to include full contact details, including address information, in the application letter. To avoid wet manual signatures in the application letter and verification statement, as these documents will be made public once the decision has been issued. Similar to prospectuses, in Ontario, pre-filing fees will be credited to the filing. For example, if you file an application, the full fee for the application is due at the time of filing the pre-file. Once you file the application, the fees paid with the pre-filing will be credited towards the application filing. Note that you must relate the pre-file to the application or prospectus filing using the search functionality in order to avoid duplication of filing fees. Alternatively, details can be added manually if your pre-filing is not in SEDAR+. Please note that using the manual linking functionality will result in potentially duplicating fees. In these circumstances, a fee exception code may be required. Management cease trade order applications are now required to be filed through SEDAR+. If you are filing a management cease trade order application, select applications related to a cease trade order. Under submission details, select management cease trade order. Under documents, select application letter relating to a cease trade order and upload your letter and other submissions relating to the filing. Thank you, and that concludes the application section of the webinar. I will now turn you over to Evan.
Thank you, Brita. Hello, my name is Evan Marquis, and I am Business Processes Supervisor in the Corporate Finance Branch at the OSC. This part of the webinar will cover exempt market filings. In this section, we are going to talk about some key updates to exempt market filings following the launch of SEDAR+. Prior to SEDAR+ launch in July 2023, exempt market filings included those listed on this slide were required to be filed or delivered via the OSC's electronic filing portal in Ontario. After SEDAR Plus launch on July 25th, 2023, issuers, including issuers that are not reporting issuers, are generally required to file or deliver documents to the OSC through SEDAR Plus, unless there is an available exemption from the requirements in NI 13103. This slide addresses the OSC unique identifier number. Issuers with late fees prior to SEDAR Plus launch will have been assigned an OSC unique identifier number. This can be entered on the profile to account for late fee history prior to SEDAR Plus launch. This will prevent possible overpayments on late filings for distributions prior to July 20, 2023, if applicable. The unique identifier number was issued during the onboarding process and can be obtained from the CSA Service Desk. It can be entered at the time of creating a new profile. In most cases, however, it can simply be added to an existing profile by making changes to the profile, as shown on the next slide. Under the company identification section, you can make changes to add the OSC unique identification number. Be sure to save and continue and submit to record the update. OSC staff receive a lot of questions about access levels for offering documents. On this slide, you will see that most access types are public with the exception of offering memorandum other than 2.9 of NI 45106. Importantly, this category would include offering memoranda delivered under Part 5 of OSC Rule 45501. In accordance with our practices at the OSC, private offering documents delivered to the OSC under Part 5 of OSC Rule 45501 are not intended to be made publicly available on SEDAR Plus. Although these materials are not expected to be made public on SEDAR Plus, we remind you that a request for them could be made under Freedom of Information legislation. If such a request were received, we expect that the issuer would be notified in accordance with the legislation. In most cases, however, offering documents are public upon filing via SEDAR Plus. Please pay careful attention to which filing type you are selecting when submitting your filing. OSC staff receive questions about filing, offering, or other documents with a Form 45106F1. You can select a previously filed document within the last 3 years that is publicly available by using the Search for Document option and clicking Save to link it to the Form 45106F1 filing. Note that if the offering memorandum was filed as an offering memorandum other than 2.9 of NI 45106, you cannot link it using this feature. The other option must be used as this filing type is not currently searchable. On this slide, you will see that by answering no, an option presents itself to attach a file for an offering or other document. You can then enter a description which may include the document name, previous filing number in the case of previously filed other than Section 2.9 offering memoranda, and or the rule under which you are filing or delivering the document. Click Save and continue. OSC staff are often asked about filing amendments to Form 45106F1 via SEDAR Plus. There are a number of different amendment types in SEDAR Plus regarding Form 45106F1. Our goal here is to ensure that you are selecting the appropriate amendment option for your filing. On this slide, we are navigating to exempt market offerings via the Actions menu and to create a report of exempt distribution, Form 45106F1. After completing information about the filing in Step 1, you will be prompted with the report type at Step 2. In most cases, this will simply be new. However, we are now looking at the second option, amend a report previously filed in BCSC eServices, the OSC electronic filing portal, or in paper. For the OSC, this refers to older original filings with the EDR prefix filed before SEDAR Plus launch in July 2023. Importantly, this is not the correct method for filing an amendment to a SEDAR Plus filing. We will cover this as well. Select Amend a report previously filed in BCSC eServices, the OSC electronic filing portal, or paper under report type. Answer yes to the question regarding filed in the OSC electronic filing portal if amending a report prior to July 20th, 2023, filed with the OSC. Enter the filing number starting with EDR in the box provided. It is critical that this number is entered correctly. This can be found in the exempt distribution summary on the OSC webpage if you are unsure. Complete the form by entering the data and changes vis-a-vis the original EDR submission. This slide covers amending a report filed on legacy SEDAR. OSC staff do not object to companies amending a legacy SEDAR Form 45-106F1 filing as opposed to a concurrently filed OSC ePortal Form 45-106F1 filing, provided Ontario is correctly added as a recipient agency. Simply search the original SEDAR filing and follow the instructions on this slide. For most cases going forward, you will be amending reports that you have already created in CR+. Via Filing Details, select the submission number, for example, 1, from the View Submission Details menu. Proceed to the Actions menu at the bottom of the page and select Amend Report of Exempt Distribution, Form 45-106F1. Your data will be pre-populated from your earlier submission. This is a positive change for filers who are familiar with saving drafts and having to re-enter form data in some cases on the OSC's ePortal. The next slide shows the steps involved. This slide demonstrates the actions mentioned on the previous slide. Issuers that rely on the offering memorandum exemption in Ontario are subject to ongoing obligations as outlined in Section 2.9 of NI 45-106. Generally, under subsection 17.5 of NI 45-106, issuers must deliver annual financial statements to the OSC within 120 days after the end of each financial year. The annual financial statements are required to be audited and prepared in accordance with international financial reporting standards. Please note that OSC Rule 13502 fees provides details on applicable late filing fees for annual financial statements in Appendix G, Row A. Both the annual financial statements and concurrently filed Notice of Use of Proceeds must be filed on SEDAR+. To file the annual financial statements, use the filing category, Exempt Market Offerings, with the filing type as Annual Financial Statements for Non-Reporting Issuers. The Notice of Use of Proceeds should be filed concurrently under the same filing category with the filing type as Notice of Use of Proceeds. Coordinated Blanket Order 13933 provides instructions for eligible issuers to file Form 45-106F1s outside of SEDAR+, specifically regarding distributions of eligible foreign securities to permitted clients. Please ensure that you are eligible to file under the blanket order. Inappropriate use of this exemption will result in OSC staff requesting refilings on SEDAR+. As previously mentioned, in most cases, issuers must file Form 45-106F1 via SEDAR+, unless there is an available exemption, including reliance on Blanket Order 13933. That now concludes the section for exempt market filings. I will now turn it over to Eden.
Thank you, Evan. I would like to thank Evan, Brita, Lorraine, Kenneth, and Cheryl for sharing their expertise with us today. Before we proceed to the Q&A portion, I'd like to draw your attention to the appendix in our slide deck, which contains our contact information for today's webinar.